Canterbury, I'm Andrea Allen and welcome to Canterbury Live this Wednesday, and a pinch and a punch for the first of the month. Well, some very exciting news, you've probably already heard about it, was talked about quite a lot last night, was that they have confirmed that there will be a bridge constructed between Picton and Wellington. Very exciting indeed. There goes a bit of a draft at the moment, but the actual plans will be released at midday tomorrow. So really, that trip you normally take on the ferry will only take like an hour. So very exciting time, so make sure you're watching at midday when those plans are released. Well, fudge, we all love fudge, don't we? And you should get it from the Fudge Cottage, and they're located at the Bishopdale Mall, and you're very lucky indeed because we have a lovely Easter pack to give away. We have some Russian, Bailey's, chocolate fudge and little Peter Rabbit there. So if you'd like to win that, just call through on 3777 033 or go to a Facebook page and leave your details. It's as simple as that. Coming up on today's show, we're very fortunate. We have a wonderful performance by musician Jesse Brand, yes, and also an interview. He's doing a wonderful tour throughout New Zealand. And Carol Ball, she joins me from the Red Cross, and we're reflecting back, of course, 100 years, but the Napier earthquake. But first up, we have the wonderful Phyllis Brown with some certain elements we should be thinking about and putting into our world. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, very well.
Yeah,
yes.
That's good. I'm very excited about today about the 7 stages of healing.
Yes, the 7 stages of healing. I think over the last few weeks I've been visited by quite a few clients who are going through a grief process. And of course with the grief process it is about anything. You could have lost your pet, you could have lost your job, you could have lost your home, and obviously you could have lost someone very, very close to you. And in that process, I just wanted to touch on that there are 7 stages of healing that are recognised out there in the psychiatric world or counselling world, and there they are on the screen there. So there's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, accepting, rebirth and creating a new life.
For denial, that's a pretty obvious one, isn't it?
It is denial, yes, it is obvious because we can't believe what's happening. We can't believe that this event, this traumatic event has happened in our lives. And then when we bargain, we think, well, it could have been me or it should have been me. Why didn't that happen to me instead of them? And we go through these stages as a process of us coming to terms of the shock and the trauma of that event or the loss of that person or that item or that beloved pet. I think the thing to remember is that although there are 7 stages, we can go through any of them at any given time. Although I've put them on that poster there as A, B, C and D, it could be for some people that they have to just go on with life. You know, they don't have an option, they've maybe got children or dependents, so they have to create that new life instantly. They can't go through the grieving process, and quite often people will come through and say, well, I didn't have time to grieve. I didn't have time to come to terms. So they have to go straight into that very last stage and be strong for the family and be there picking up the pieces of what was their normal life and creating something new. But ultimately, they will go back to the first step, the second step, the third step. And that's just the human process. We can't bypass this particular way of healing ourselves. It's a process that we all go through.
Do people grieve differently?
I think they do. Again, it's a cultural thing. So for some cultures, they have a 5-day or a 10-day process in which they really sort of, I want to say the word revel, but they really go in depth into that grief process and then they move on, and they could quite easily go through some aspects of this process. Whereas other people, they might look at the more the upside, the more upbeat aspect of that person passing and go through all the happy times. When it maybe comes to the breakdown of a relationship, we maybe focus on the bad parts of the relationship rather than the good parts of the relationship. So it really depends on where that person is at that point in time, how they're coping with their own feelings and how they're coping with the loss of that person or that event or that job or whatever it is they're grieving over.
What can be the result if we don't acknowledge our grief?
If you don't acknowledge your grief, it will eventually find you. So from my own personal experience, my father passed away at the age of 5, and I really wasn't aware that he wasn't there. But it wasn't until I was 16 when I went to the crematorium and to lay some flowers that, you know, it was on a patch of grass, and I'm like, well, where is he? Where is he? You know, this cannot be. That's all that's left of Ian Mackey. It just can't be. So, boy, I went straight into the anger stage. I have to say, I was a very angry teenager because there was nothing for me to go and to look at or to touch or to feel or just to connect with in terms of the memory that he actually existed. I know his name is in the book, but it was such a profound effect on me, I have to say. So although we may not deal with it at the time, at some point it will reoccur. And sometimes for some people, but they've just had to go straight into creating a new life. They've got dependents, they've got people needing their help. It's not until they maybe have another death in the family or another shock or traumatic event that they'll sort of reset the clock and they'll go back and revisit the loss of the first person and then cope with the loss of the second person.
Resentment can also be something that raises its head.
It can.
That I loved them more than you did.
And that's maybe more about the wider aspect, you know. So again, it's about ownership. Sometimes, you know, especially when you're married into a family and you've lost your partner, but there's maybe a sense of ownership from the external family. Well, he was our son or our daughter, and you maybe took him away, or you've maybe caused this to happen, or you've maybe led them on this lifestyle. It depends really on how the person passed. But they have to own that. You can't accept that as part of your grieving process. And it will be part of their grieving process. But they have to just go through the fact that they're still lost, that there's still a sense of loss on both sides of the party. It's not about owning who has the biggest grief or who owns that person at the time of their loss. It is just a loss that everybody has to deal with, regardless of circumstances.
Great thoughts there, Phyllis. Now, what is our card for today?
Our card for today is beautiful kunzite, and this card allows us to link the heart and the head and linking to our soul divine plan. It does help with the grief process. So if you're going through something that is quite traumatic or there's a big sense of loss, then you pop into Hetty's. They have beautiful kunzite there. You can buy it as a pebble or as a pendant, and it'll just help soften up the heart and just help you accept the loss that you're going through.
It was lovely today. Thank you, Phyllis. I think you've given us a lot of food for thought.
Thank you.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks, my friend. Take care now. Stay with us after the break, talking about tragedy. There was a big tragedy, yes, the Napier earthquake, and of course, the Red Cross were there. See you soon.
With all the latest innovations in the world of technology, Shift has everything you need to stay informed and in the know. Shift, 2:15 on Monday, right here on CTV.
Opus is recreating the heart of Canterbury. From large-scale projects to commercial buildings. Your design, your vision. Opus.
In your life. Colour Steel, the roof of New Zealand.
diversity. No deposit. Instant finance. Convenience. Open 7 days. Austin Motor Company.
Drive It showcases the new arrivals to the motoring world, comparing and testing the latest models to discover which one is the best. Drive It, Sunday afternoons at 2:30, only on CTV.
And joining me now is Carol Ball from the Red Cross. How you doing? Looking very fine there with your branding there.
Thank you, thank you.
Now, just before the break, I didn't mention about the Napier earthquake.
Yeah, it was...
Because earthquake, when we think earthquake now, because it's so current and our memories, is 2011.
That's
probably
right.
the big one. But let's go further back, and we've had some tremendous losses.
We have. 1931, the Napier earthquake. And it was really significant in New Zealand, I think because of the fact that it came so soon after the war. And I mean, you know, 1920, 1931, the people were still suffering in many ways. But maybe the first big earthquake, first big disaster that generations that are still with us today can remember. And for New Zealand Red Cross, it was really big. So after the earthquake, which happened late morning on February the 3rd, 1931, by 6 o'clock that evening, Red Cross in Wellington, the national headquarters, had a convoy of 103 cars with nurses and doctors and VADs and, of course, supplies, food and tents and blankets and everything that was needed. And they set off for Napier. That, I think, will be the first really big home response of New Zealand Red Cross to a disaster in our own country. And people, I don't think their idea of being prepared for a disaster was very high in people's minds back then. As I say, there was still suffering from the war. There was people trying to rebuild from the war, and so a natural disaster wasn't something that they were thinking of at the time.
Well, prepare. It's a big word.
It is.
How were we after 2011 about being prepared?
I think a lot of people picked up on the need to be prepared in case there was another earthquake. And of course we'd had September. It was a wee bit of a practice for us, September 2010, and then on to February 2011. Lots of people prepared, they filled their water containers, they stocked up on that extra food, they had the batteries, the torches, the radios. But today, I would put the challenge out to everybody to check their cupboards, to check their water supplies, and make sure that they just keep on top of those little things. Make sure every 6 months. In fact, daylight saving is a really good time to do that checking. So when daylight saving comes in the spring, check your supplies.
Right.
When daylight saving goes out in the autumn, check your supplies. And if you just get into that rhythm, it's a great way to do it.
It's complacency though, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, we get so busy with our lives, so many things happening, and I forgot to get another tin of spaghetti. Oh, I'll just take it from this lot. I'll replace it next week. And then next week comes and you're busy again. So it is very easy to become complacent, but I think it's just through the busyness of our life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it needs to start somewhere, so maybe this weekend that could be a
Yeah.
challenge to our viewers, couldn't it? That they could
Absolutely.
actually start filling that container again. Now, what's happening in Queen's birthday?
Queen's birthday is a reunion for all those great responders who've helped Red Cross here in Christchurch over the last 45 years.
45 years?
45 years ago, we started the first response unit here in Christchurch. And Queen's birthday weekend, there's a reunion. So anybody who's been a responder for Red Cross over the years with the teams, please think about coming along, rekindling old friendships, laughing at some great old photos that we've been scanning, ready to show, and bring along any memorabilia too. That, you know, there's a lot of people that'll have great memories and maybe a good photo or a old piece of uniform that they used to wear.
Exactly.
Bring along and share it. It's great fun.
And it's nice the way you're talking is about laughter because, you know, Red Cross are the big brother, the big sister, the mother, the father to help out when we all need it in dire circumstances. But we need humour, don't we?
Yep, we
Carol?
do. Absolutely we do. Indeed we do. And even in the hardest times, if you can actually look back and find something really good, and there is always something good, somebody that helped you, whether it was Red Cross or your neighbour or family, and look back and then just share those memories. Those memories become really, really precious. And if you can find fun and humour within it, marvellous. Gets you through all sorts of strife.
What's coming up next for you in this wonderful year of 100 years celebration?
Wow, next month is really special. Next month, May the 8th, is World Red Cross Day. So around the world we're celebrating. But here there's going to be some great displays, there's all sorts of things are happening throughout the country. And yeah, throughout the year actually, but May the 8th is really special. So we'll be looking forward to a really big display then.
And of course, the Red Cross website is a wonderful source of what's coming up as well, isn't there?
Definitely.
And we can definitely always donate through the website. There's never a bad or a good time to do it. You can do it any time you like.
Any time. And we have the need for money for our normal programs, our day-to-day programs, as well as those for emergencies and disasters.
Good on you, Carol. I look forward to talking about next month with the World Red Cross Day.
Thank you.
Have a great Easter weekend.
You too.
Thank you very much. Now stay with us after the break. We meet a bit of a travelling Wilbury. Yes, he is. Jesse Brand joins me.
Kids Television is right here on CTV. Tune in every Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. for an exciting range of fantastic kids programming. Join in with all the fun Saturday mornings from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. on CTV.
At Bowden Environmental, we specialise in all aspects of resource management, so you don't have to deal with the paperwork. With the skills and knowledge to organise any environmental work, we can guide you through the process from start to finish. From organising consents and farm environmental plans to pump and well testing, Bowden Environmental has it covered. Save time and remove the stress. See the specialist. Bowden Environmental.
Come on down to Ferrymead Golf. Care for a game of paintball? How about some swings on the old driving range? Or on our par 3 9-hole golf course? Test your skills on the mini golf course or have a go at the airgun shooting range. Then relax at the Wow Cafe with one of our super succulent Wow Burgers. Whether you want to perfect your swing or are looking for a fun family day out, come down to Ferrymead Golf, 50 Ferrymead Park Drive, right next to the Ferrymead Heritage Park.
Arts 21 showcases the vast creative talent and minds that are making a name for themselves in Europe and beyond. Think outside the square with Arts 21.
And here he is, the travelling Wilbury. Jesse Brand joins me. And now, I believe you've been adopted by New Zealand, really, haven't you? You're from Canada.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a Kiwi coming through, the voice.
That's right. But yeah, I've been in New Zealand now for about 8 years. I came over on a 1-year working holiday visa and never left. Yeah, no, it's been a good place.
We've sucked you into this wonderful country.
That's right.
You're touring at the moment. It's called the Equinox Tour?
Well, Equinox Tour.
Equinox Tour?
Yeah, with the timing of the year. Last year I did a similar kind of project and started on the solstice, so the longest day of the year. And so, yeah. It's good to use natural landmarks to figure out where I am sometimes.
Yeah, big time. So it's 20 gigs you'll be playing around New Zealand.
Yeah.
It's quite staggering, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I'm still working on booking the North Island as I go up, but it should be around the 20 mark, yeah. And South Island's all booked and going well so far.
Right,
Couple in Christchurch this
So you're a
week.
singer-songwriter. When did you realise, at what point, that this was the way you wanted to go in your life?
I guess every day I try and reiterate that, and it comes and goes, and I find myself in jobs that aren't really me, and then I wake up again and get back into it, and trying to stay on that path. Yeah.
So Describe to our viewers, what type of music do you enjoy, do you play, do you write?
People ask that a lot, and I'm still not exactly sure. But it's acoustic music, it's singer-songwriter stuff. Within that, I tend to explore different things. As of recently, to surprise to myself, I've been interested in some hip-hop stuff and been doing some folk hop, I've been calling it, because I guess it's kind of folk music in general is what I play, is the simplest way to describe it, but yeah, not really traditional.
Right, yeah, I believe you've done an amazing job of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You've got your own version of that.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I made that as a fun promotional video for the project I did last year as a documentary of a traveling musician through the country, just hitchhiking and busking and finding gigs as I went, and yeah. So
and how did you shoot that, on GoPro or
I had a couple of cameras with me and stuff, and yeah, it was challenging to film it and do it myself and
direct it.
Yeah, that's right, and edit it and everything. I edited it while I was on the road. But it was a worthwhile experience. And, yeah.
Tell us about your album. It is folk for the soul, soul for the folk.
Yeah. I thought that was perhaps a good way of describing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I recorded that about 1.5 years ago now, and excited about doing something new as always. I've got quite a few more songs written, but yeah, it's quite a basic album. It's just
from the heart.
Yeah, well, that's the idea. Yeah. It's
sounds
just
good.
Acoustic guitar, me singing. And
okay, so tonight you're playing, very cool, at the Porthole in Littleton at 8 o'clock, and tomorrow night at the Hilltop Tavern at 7:30. Make sure you go along and see Jesse, but we're very fortunate now as he will be performing The Elm Tree. Take a look at this.
Well, I was just thinking about when we first met. You said you wondered what it would feel like if we kissed. And I grinned, said thought you had a boyfriend. You said you'd break up with him, the next day you did. And then came over, and it was New Year's Eve, and sat on the sofa right next to me. I sang you a song and you forgot to breathe. You got me back though when you sung Alicia Keys. 'Cause you were more than just a love, and you're the one who woke me up and taught me there's more than just the sky above. You showed me there's magic in everyone, and you taught me to see, and you told me just believed, and you confided in me, and then you set me free. And I was just thinking about how you used to sneak out at midnight, take photos of the moon. And when you came back, you'd call me too. Tell me about the wonders in your room. And what about that time you drew that portrait of mine, and just drew a close-up of my eye, and somehow you managed to make it shine. Will I ever meet another like you in my whole life? And I was just thinking about when we last met, and I can't really remember where we were at. Was it in Sydney or back in Halifax? It's been like 10 years, haven't seen a photograph. It's been like 10 years, haven't seen a photograph. It's been like 10 years, are you the same? It's been like 10 years, heard you changed your last name. And I'm giving it all I got to get this across. Yeah, I'm giving it all I got to get this across. To you. To you. Oh, I'm giving it all I got to get this across. Oh, I'm giving it all I got. 'Cause you're more than just a love. You're the one who woke me up and taught me there's more than just the sky above. You showed me there's magic in everyone. And you taught me to see. And you told me just believe. And you confided in me. And then you set me free.
Very cool indeed. And while we're sitting here, Jess and I have already made a screenplay because that song could so match a love story, couldn't it?
Yeah.
We're sitting here, we're picture painting, we've got it all there.
Got it scripted out
Yeah,
here already.
yeah. We'll call Peter Jackson. It's going to happen, it's going to happen. Thanks so much,
I
Jessie.
look forward to that.
Yeah, so will I. Hey, thank you so much for joining us today. We've had a wonderful day and wonderful show. Have an awesome Wednesday. But tomorrow we have runway models. Yes, they're hitting the runway. And I'm joined by Anthony Goff. What are we wearing? I hope we match. See you tomorrow. Have a great night.